Chinese model has just launched the largest open weights model ever released. 2.8 trillion parameters. And on one of the most watched coding leaderboards, it jumped straight to the top ahead of Anthropic's best ever model. So this is the headline that everyone went with, and it's true. But I don't think it's the most interesting part. I think the interesting part is when senior leadership look at a free open source model at the top of the leaderboard and says, can we actually use that? Because the honest answer is not the one the headlines give to you. Let me show you what it does, where it breaks. And the one thing almost everyone reviewing this has forgotten to mention. Let's get into it. Quick note from me, for anyone who's new here, I am the Professor, Paul, the Professor. I was a British diplomat for 20 odd years. I've then worked in universities for the last 10, and now I'm supporting businesses in the UK and abroad to govern AI effectively, to deploy AI tools, and to get the ROI they want out of their AI deployments. This channel has been around for just over 2 years, got about 12,000 subscribers, but that's not what it's here for. It's here to give you a clear-eyed view of what's going on in AI. I come at this from an evangelist point of view, but I'm also here to tell you what works and what doesn't work. So the model we're talking about is Kimi K3. It's made by Moonshot AI, a lab based in Beijing. And open weight matters. So let me just define what that actually means. It means the actual model, the trained weights, are actually just published. In theory, you can download it and you can run it on your own hardware, inside your own walls, with your data never leaving the building. That's a genuinely different proposition from ChatGPT and Claude, where you draw down their inference, their AI inference across the internet, your data goes there, and then their data comes back to you. And that model sits on their servers, on somebody else's servers, not your own. I think for a lot of people, the idea of having your own frontier level model running on your own servers with no token bill that you can control, that you can manage the guardrails of, feels like a dream. But is it really? So here's what I'm going to show you, what Kimi K3 is under the bonnet, the numbers that earned its headlines, 3 real prompts that will show you how good it is, then where it falls down, and whether that matters for a serious organization. So a few numbers here that will tell you what we're dealing with. 2.8 trillion parameters in this model. It's massive. But, and this is an important bit, it doesn't use that 2.8 trillion all at once. It's what's called a mixture of experts model. Think of it as a large team of specialists. And when you give it a task, it goes out to those specialists and those specialists do the activity. You haven't got everybody in the organization working on that single activity. So Kimi K3 has 896 of these specialists, and it uses just 16 at any one time. So it has the knowledge of the largest models, but the running costs of much smaller ones. And that's the trick that's made this size possible at all. It has a 1 million token context window. That's massive and really useful. That means you can hand it something the scale of a large book, full set of board papers going back years, and it'll handle it in a single go. And it can see images and videos natively. It's not just a text model. So on paper, this is a serious piece of engineering. The question is, does it translate in practice? 3 numbers that I think are worth your time. I'll define each one because these benchmarks can get quite complex. So front-end code arena. So this measures models' ability to build workable web interfaces, and it judges them head to head. Kimi K3 went to number 1, head of Claude Fable 5, which is obviously Anthropic's flagship model. It topped 6 of the 7 categories. For writing front-end code, it was genuinely ahead. The next one, agentic research. So this is your AI acting like a researcher, planning, looking for information, distilling it, using agents to do all of that activity. And on these tests, it scores in the low to mid 90s. That's quite a long way above the competition. Serious stuff. And then finally, graduate level reasoning, the GPQA, at 93%, it's comfortably in that frontier class. And these Chinese models have always been a little bit behind, but Kimi K3 is right up there. So across all the models, independent aggregators will put it about fifth, behind the very best models from OpenAI and from Anthropic, but definitely ahead of models that cost real money to use. For a free open model, this is remarkable. So the headline holds. Let's have a look at what it actually looks like when you're using it. Okay, here we are in Kimi. Nice and cool. Looks like every other AI, doesn't it? Let's give it something that it's good at. Build me a single web page dashboard that takes a list of AI vendors and their data residency answers and flags every vendor storing data outside the UK or EU in red. Make it clean enough to show a board. Give me the finished file. So we have some choices. We've got instant K3, K3 swarm. Let's put it onto K3. Hi. Let's go. Too many people are chatting with Kimi right now. Subscribe to enter a dedicated priority queue. So there you go. Straight away, I can't use it because lots of people are using it. Let's come back when it's free. So I've been trying to run this for 20 minutes, went off and had a cup of tea, came back. Server exception, please try again later. So Kimi may have the best model in the world, may be the largest open source model, but right now I can't use it. I'll keep trying. Okay, so we are in day 2 and see if this is where I must have tried this 30 times. Okay, 3, let's see. Too many people are chatting Kimi right now. Subscribe. All right, let's subscribe. And I can't even subscribe. All I can do is join a wait list. So to pay my £19 a month, I can't. To join a wait list, once additional capacity becomes available, we'll notify you immediately by SMS or email. So this is one of the problems. And I feel a little bit for the chaps at Kimi, at Moonshot. Clearly, they've produced a model that is exciting and people want to use it, but they don't have the bandwidth to be able to supply that model to people. So I'll keep trying. I'll join my wait list. I'll keep trying and see if I can get a video out. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a blowout. I'll get back to you. Okay. So it took a couple of hours, and then I got an email from Kimi saying that I was now eligible for a plan. So you couldn't sign up immediately. I had to go onto a wait list. I've now bought the plan so we can test. And thank goodness, because the video was struggling at this time, I can test whether it works. So I've now got a paid plan. Build me a single page web dashboard that takes a list of AI vendors and their data residency answers and flags every vendor storing data outside the UK or EU in red. Make it clean enough to show a board. Give me a finished file. Got it working. So clearly one of the key issues with Kimi is that they have some quite serious, I guess, challenges with providing a service over to a lot of people. So they produced a really strong model. People want to use it. They don't have the capacity to be able to deliver that. And I've just had 12 hours of messing around to actually be able to run my first prompt, which is not great. So I think if you're deciding to use Kimi and you're not using it as a downloaded open source event, then this is clearly going to be an issue for you. I think you're likely to be bumping up against usage limits very, very quickly, or not necessarily usage limits, but usage capacity. Okay. We're going to let this run so it knows what it needs. See whether we've got actual, yeah, it's worked out what I want. I mean, it gives you a lot of detail into what it's doing, which is nice. I mean, it's built itself a pretty nice brief. Taking a few minutes. We might need to come back when it's done. The magic of YouTube is that you don't have to wait to see these prompts work. I'll do that for you. We'll just cut to the end. Okay, so it took about 5 minutes, which is pretty good. And done. It was saved, ready to preview. So interestingly, my web blocker blocked it initially, but I allowed it to see. And it produces a version, which is nice. It saved it to a file. Summary cards, total vendors, register itself, practical bits, add, edit, remove vendors from the form. So it's editable. Let's have a look at what we've actually got. 6 vendors assessed, 3 outside the UK, 2 are compliant, 1's unconfirmed. We've got Anthropic, Google, and OpenAI, which are outside the UK. Cohere, not confirmed, residency option raised with vendor, waiting written confirmation. It's unconfirmed. And then you've got Microsoft and Mistral, who run OpenAI services in the UK and EU. So in theory, Microsoft and Mistral are the only two compliant vendors. So I can print it as a PDF. I can add a vendor. Pretty good. I mean, as a piece of work, it's done a good job. I mean, better than just good. It's produced a really useful piece of work in HTML. There's the code. It's a bit clunky. And perhaps that's understandable given the clear challenge they've got with people using it and usage patterns. But I'm pretty impressed by what it's produced there. Really good. Okay, let's try something else. Okay, let's try out that massive context window. So I've said here are our last 2 years of board papers. Find every place where we made a commitment about AI governance, list them with dates, and tell me which ones we have not followed through on. Let's see. I've created a zip file. Now, so I get an issue that it won't deal with a zip file. So let me unzip and then I'll just copy all the documents in. Okay, so it didn't like a zip. Fair enough. I think lots of them struggle a bit with zips. So I have put in 24 documents. So there's lots of context window there. Let's see what Kimi does. So there are PowerPoints, there are PDFs, there are Word documents. I specifically have made my dummy documents into multiple formats. And within there are some requirements, commitments around AI governance. So let's see whether it can take all of that context in, read it, and give me a sensible output. We'll come back when it's done. Okay, let's see what we got. Went through all 24 board papers. Right to do, executed Python. 13 commitments found. Update decks and templates. There we go. So read all 24 papers, January 24 to December 25. Cross-referenced every paper, the latest status. So here we have a table with every paper in. AI enables systems and boards, training, etc. Being comfortable finding not one of the 24 commitments is ever reported on again. Checked every subsequent paper for completion reports, matters arising, dashboard appearances, audit findings, nothing. Due within the period, AI register, quarterly AI risk dashboard, internal audit review, supplier due diligence reassessment, training completion report. I tell you what, that's a really powerful piece of work. So it went through 24 documents. As I said, there were presentations, there were notes, there was all sorts of different things, spreadsheets. It went through, identified the key issue, went through every document, logged it, and then looked for evidence that that activity had been done. A really useful piece of work. Kimi did a really good job of it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, third test. Now, we know that real work is never clean. So I've got a messy expenses register here. So there's 150 odd lines in there. There's some errors, I know. There's things that are not right. Let's see if Kimi, with this prompt, here is a messy spreadsheet of expenses, reconcile it, find the errors, and tell me what's wrong before I tell you where to look. Let's make sure we're on Kimi 3 and start. Now, one thing I've noticed is that it can be a bit ponderous because it always is in thinking mode. There's no sort of instant mode. Because it uses tools all the time to make it work, it has to call those tools. So it can be a bit slower than we see with the frontier models. So I think there's 43 errors in there. Let's see whether it finds all 43. Cardholder mismatches, duplicate items, that sort of thing. 48. So it's found 48 rows not using published FX rates. Looks like a systematic issue. So there are claims in here and bank statements, so it can reconcile. Okay, it took a while, probably about 20 minutes. It reconciled all three ledgers, 160 claims, 130 card transactions, 90 bank statements against each other. So it was pretty complex. It found the big ticket items, which it did pretty well. Found unmatched corporate cards, duplicate items, broken claims arithmetic, FX policy ignored, policy breaches, master data, control summary format. So it found 47. I think there was 48. And I marked it and it got 93 out of 100. Pretty damn good. Overall, this was a difficult task. Overall, it did a really great job. A really, really strong job. And certainly if I ran it through again, I would expect it to pick up any additional issues. So this was a complex task. He did it really well. Well done, Kimi. Okay, so I've given it 3 tasks. Let's go through what I think about this. So first of all, as you've seen, the free model, completely worthless. You can't actually go and use it. I tried it for nearly 24 hours. got no work at all, had to buy a paid plan. So the free model, absolutely no point in it whatsoever. Once I paid, I did get access. I think I found it a bit slow. It's a bit ponderous because of the way it works. It always thinks before it makes its answers, which is a good thing. But that can mean that it feels a bit slower than the other frontier models. It was really strong at both the website creation and identifying the frontier models and the data around where they stored data. It was very good at that. Really impressed with its reconciliation of the spreadsheet, and did well with the governance documents as well. So yeah, not too bad. I guess one thing I do notice is that you get a real sense of it using tools. I think that's how it's built. That's how it works. So you do see a lot of that tool operation while it's working. And while it is certainly an open source, I think I would not use it for real data. Being aware that this data is going to China, I wouldn't use it. You certainly shouldn't use it within the EU with any sort of personal data or anything like that. You probably shouldn't use AI for personal data anyway, but any sort of anything that's sensitive at all, I think that would be a mistake. If you're running your own model on your own servers, well done. It uses a lot of power and it uses a lot of servers. I think it would be really great for everyday usage. I haven't gone into Kimi work. I haven't gone into designing images and video and all that sort of stuff, all which it does. So it's a powerful model. It's got a lot in there that you can have a play with. But I think on the whole, very, very impressive. Now, open source is carrying a lot there. Clearly, when you're using it through the app, then it's not open source and all of your information is going to China. If you are downloading it and running it on your own systems, then fantastic. I think that would be a really powerful system to use. Of course, don't forget, you're then in charge of the guardrails. You're then in charge of making sure it all sets up. But if you've got the resources to be able to do that, great, go for it. I think open source is really powerful. I think it keeps the closed source models honest, and Kimi's done pretty well at keeping them honest by beating them in several of their benchmarks. So yeah, really good, really interesting. Want to see how this develops. I think China is really got its hot sauce going right now. And with OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini all having their own sort of issues with government control, etc., I think the Chinese are coming up behind and are producing some really great models. That's good for us as consumers. That's good for us that are using it. So yeah, I'm all for it. Okay, so if you've enjoyed the video, if you've learned something, you found it interesting, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. And also, if there are other people you think might be interested, share this video with them so they get to see it as well. I've been the Professor. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.